We are live from the Barley House in Cleveland, Ohio, day 2 of the NFL Draft. I am Jason Aponte, as always, and I am joined by Faraz of Upper Hand Fantasy. We're going to talk round one discussion and how it pertains to fantasy football and actual football. Faraz, what's going on, bro?
Let's go, man. Yo, I'm so excited for day two. I was kind of mad that I woke up this morning. I just wanted to like get right into day two, like right away, dude. Like, you know what I mean? But we had to wait, unfortunately. I'm pumped up.
Yeah, I mean, we do. It's the day 2 is going to start in, I would say, about 2 hours. Yeah, about 2 hours. So we're ready to go. Your Jets, they have the second pick again, as they did the first round, and the 49ers pick again at 43. So I'm sure we'll get into that. We're going to have somebody else stop in right now, but. Yeah, we're having, I guess, issues. All right, we're good. Uh, so I guess let's talk Trey Lance in superflex drafts. Where would you have him ranked? As we think that everybody pretty much has Trevor Lawrence as the number one option.
So in Superflex, Dynasty, rookie drafts, like I'm all in on Trey Lance as like the 102. The 102, like, listen, he has a few things going for him right now. First of all, he lands in San Francisco. He's in an amazing scheme. He has Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan's going to make things easy for him. Just like I think how we talked about before, Jimmy Garoppolo, he made things very easy for him. I know this is a very sensitive subject here, for people who are joining us live. But at the same time, like, we're doing good. Yeah, thank you. I do feel as though the fact that the scheme is good, number one. Number two, the weapons are there. You got Kittle, you got Ayuk, you got Debo. That's amazing. You know what I'm saying? That's the other thing. Number three, offensive line is there. Number four, his rushing ability. He ran for 1,000 yards in 2019. A lot of those were designed runs, sure. Kyle is definitely going to design some runs for him. Maybe not as many as what happened in South Dakota, but at the same time, I do think that he's going to be the guy. As far as Justin Fields goes, like he was my 102 before this move. I assumed that he was going to go to San Francisco, just like a lot of other people. Wink. But at the same time, like he is in a good situation as well. But Matt Nagy didn't prove to me and a lot of people that like his scheme is where quarterbacks go to succeed. Right? He hasn't proved that yet. So I think right now Trey Lance is my 102 without question.
Yeah, and I think it's funny because people are always saying, whoever the 49ers draft, that's the quarterback that you're going to want to own, And when we talk about scheme, we know that he's run all of those Shanahan concepts. We got Jordan jumping in here. Jordan, so we're going to talk round one, but we're going to be talking straight up fantasy football too, because we know that you're into that as well. So we're going to throw a little curveball into it. So we're just talking about the way Trey Lance fits. So Faraz was making the point that right now, I think everybody can pencil in or write in Sharpie Trevor Lawrence as the 101 in any sort of superflex league. And the discussion at 102 becomes very, very, very interesting. So is it Justin Fields in Chicago? Is it Trey Lance in San Francisco? Is it Zach Wilson with the Jets? What are your thoughts, Jordan?
I don't think you could pencil in Trevor Lawrence at 1-1, dude. I talked to Brad about this last night, dude. I would be tempted to take Trey Lance at 1-1, honestly, because I have zero to little faith in a guy that spent a first-round pick on a running back to be a third down back when he already had a viable option in James Robinson to run a competent offense, let alone a productive franchise. I don't believe in Jacksonville. You already know how much I believe in Kyle Shanahan. I'm not saying it's definitive, but I would feel just as good about taking Trey Lance at 1-1 as I would about Trevor Lawrence, because I don't think there's any guarantee that Jacksonville figures it out. Even though I like the receiving weapons they have there, I think they have a decent enough offense, but I trust Kyle Shanahan more than I trust Urban Meyer. And while Lawrence may be a little bit safer, I see an outcome where Trey Lance is in that Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, top 5 undisputed superflex quarterback in the next few years. And that to me is way more appealing than just I like Trevor Lawrence as a prospect, but as you guys know in Dynasty, the location matters almost as much as the player. And Trey Lance and that Shanahan offense, I would have a hard time turning that down, dude. I'm not going to lie. I don't have 1-1 in any league, so luckily I don't have to even think about it. But if I did, it would be a really tough decision.
I feel like it's such a homer pick right there, dude. You know what I'm saying? Hey, but by the way, I'm Faraz, man. It's nice to meet you. So yeah, dude. Like honestly, I hear what you're saying. But like you said, he's so safe. Right? He is the safe pick no matter what. If you're shooting for upside though, I think Trey Lance is that dude. You're shooting for upside even more. Like with the, if you want to go Justin Fields, like he has upside too because of that rushing floor that Fields is probably going to provide as well, right? But as far as longevity goes, as far as like, it's possible that Urban Meyer is gone within a couple of years, right? It's very possible. I mean, his comments over ETN yesterday were very interesting, right? And I mean, I don't really believe that. Like ETN is only going to be their third down back. He wanted his guy. You know what I'm saying? And James Robinson was an undrafted guy. They have zero draft capital invested in him. Yes, he was productive, but he wasn't efficient with his pitches. And he looked good. I think he's competent. But I think he wanted somebody who's going to provide a spark on offense. I think James Robinson wasn't necessarily that guy. I personally probably would have stuck to James Robinson if I were them, just because you have so many other needs to address. So you address those first, right? And then you can go to running back later. But in the first round, to me, that doesn't make that much sense. I'd rather them, if they wanted to go there, why don't you just trade down, let somebody else grab ETN and work on your other needs. But from a fantasy perspective, I think ETN might be a little bit of a buy low now because he might drop a little bit. James Robinson, I was just talking about it on Instagram, that he might be a little bit of a buy if somebody is completely off of him. But obviously, James Robinson stocks got hurt a ton. But dude, I think you're going for a complete upside if you're going with Trey Lance number one. He's like clear 102 right now. But I don't blame you, man. You want to go for the upside, the rushing floor, I get it.
And that's the biggest thing for me is that there is the rushing floor and Kyle Shanahan. And again, I'm a Niners fan. But I also take Dynasty very seriously. And I just see a range of outcome where like Lamar Jackson had that MVP season and he became this huge commodity, but the long-term upside wasn't really there for me because as much as I like Lamar Jackson, his receiving weapons aren't very good. And there's a lot to be desired throwing the ball. And Greg Roman is just somebody I am not a fan of. So you take that similar situation with the rushing floor. I think Lamar is obviously a better runner, but I see a range of outcome where Kyle's dialing up all kinds of zone read, QB power, a lot of bootleg stuff where he'll improvise. I think he'll get you 4 to 5 points a week just purely based on scrambling and creating on his own. And again, like being a Niners fan, there are a lot of things that will leave you biased, but like Jason could tell you, Kyle Shanahan is a wizard, dude. And it is at the point where my whole stance on this is that he finally threw his hat in the ring with a toolsy guy. Like I've seen him throw out 30-point per game offenses with guys who are statues that can't move and with so-so skill players. He's finally throwing his hat in the ring with a guy that has all these tools and this upside. And again, you're taking a risk. And this is my stance kind of too. If you're sitting at 1-1, generally, your team's pretty bad to begin with, and you probably aren't anywhere near competing. Usually, not always. Usually, I would take that risk hoping to get that, and it's pipe dreaming a little bit, but that like Mahomes level impact that you'd be getting in year 3 and 4 where you're getting a guy that's just consistently putting up. Because as much as the Niners have been running the ball lately, if Trey Lance is what I think he can be, I think that he's a guy that would be in that top 5 discussion. But again, I would not fault anybody for taking Trevor Lawrence 1-1. I just think that the landing spot, because if Trey Lance went to New York, if he went to Atlanta, I probably wouldn't even touch him with the first 10 picks, honestly. But the fact that like that location matters so much to me, and that like talent comes first, but the location is so appealing, dude. Like,
yeah, talent definitely comes first, and all the people who took Clyde Taylor last year over like Jonathan Taylor, over DeAndre Swift.
Me,
I'm not sure. There you go. I'm not sure if they're so happy this year. I think it's going to come together for CH. I think the landing spot, he'll be fine. His volume is going to be fine, all that. It just was a bad situation for him last year, but I think it'll be over. But yeah, I hear you, dude. Just going for that upside, I totally understand that. And by the way, why are you guys down on Greg Roman?
Because I watched for years.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's good.
No, well, here's a question. Because I know that. No, here's a question for you, Jordan, because I know you're big on Rashad Bateman. What do you think about Rashad Bateman's fantasy football outlook now that he ends up with the Ravens? Your face right there kind of gave it away.
there was probably not a worse team that he could have gone to for fantasy output. I love it for real life, and I think Lamar will have a good bona fide. Like I compare him to Keenan Allen all the time. I think that he is just a solid, fluid route runner. He's not going to blow you away with speed, but Keenan Allen consistently is this top 10 to 12 wide receiver year in and year out. But the difference is Phillip Rivers and that Chargers offense was a lot more friendly from a fantasy perspective than I think Lamar will be. So I'm struggling to think of a team that he could have gone to that would have been worse for particularly his dynasty outlook, like long term. Like I don't have too many shares of him in Devy, so I'm not worried about it. But like I was kind of disappointed for people I know who've been high on him for a long time.
Yeah, I was very high on him too, to be honest with you. I really like Rashad Bateman a lot. Like, dude, I think you're not the only person, man. Like, I compare him to Keenan Allen too. Maybe because of those few games he won 13 for, maybe. I don't know. But he reminds me of him so much. And I really like him, man. I had a feeling he was going to go to Baltimore, and this sucks. The thing with Baltimore is that no matter what, they're going to be a run-first team. Not even a run-first team, run-heavy team, high percentage of runs. And there is no wide receiver with upside for any wide receiver on that team, no matter what. So that's the real issue there. You know what I mean? So, like, no matter who their wide receivers are, unfortunately, there isn't going to be enough volume for that massive upside that you're looking for. That Rashad Bateman could have had. He went to a better landing spot.
You know, the worst part is, too, also, is, you know, before this Aaron Rodgers stuff all happened, when I saw Rashad Bateman getting mocked to Green Bay, I was like, oh, my goodness. I mean, for fantasy football purposes, obviously, that's great. But, I mean, that's scary in real-life football, honestly, if you get a Rashad Bateman next to somebody like Davante Adams. So, I mean, I think the Packers just gave Rodgers another big middle finger. Like, they were just like, we don't even care. We're just going to take Eric Stokes, and we don't really give a damn about what you're worried about, honestly, at this point.
Elijah Moore was on the board right there. I'm like, I couldn't believe I didn't take him there. He would have been amazing, an amazing fit in Green Bay. And I'm a Jets fan. I'll be perfectly fine if they take him at 34. I'm fine with them trading down or whatever. If they take him at 34, I'll be happy.
Let me ask you this, Jordan. Kadarius Toney to the Giants. That felt like a curious pick for me. Like, I know you like Kadarius Toney, but not in the first round, especially with Elijah Moore and some of these other guys on the board. Go for it. Talk to me.
That pick made no sense, honestly. I said like a month ago, I literally retweeted.
Hey,
Oh, good. No. You guys hear me okay? Okay. I said during the like a month ago that the funniest pick in the first round would be the Steelers take a running back, which they obviously did. But Kadarius Toney and the Giants stole the show because I was on live with Brad when that happened, and I was like shocked, literally shocked that they went there at 20. And I think the funniest thing is that it seemed pretty apparent that and I'm just speculating, but it seemed pretty apparent that they wanted Javonte Smith. The Eagles jumped up over them by trading with another NFC East team in Dallas and took Javonte Smith, and they immediately traded back when Javonte Smith came off the board, and they ended up.
Is that your AirPods? Is your AirPod on and it's switching from your mic? There you go.
It is. But I don't. It's something going on with it. Yeah. So yeah, you probably hear me better now. I thought the funniest pick was going to be the Steelers taking a running back. Ultimately, the Giants wanted Devonta Smith, clearly. The Eagles jumped up and took him. They traded back immediately. And when you traded back that many spots, like, again, Kadarius Toney is shifty. He has that quick twitch joystick quality to him. But, like, what are we doing here, man? Like, I would have honestly moved back again, and I would have probably taken Elijah Moore. I'm way higher on Elijah Moore. As much as I like Toney, even though he's a little bit more
was it Rashad Bateman? Was it Rashad Bateman?
Rashad Bateman and Holiday, and then you have Slayton in the slot. Like, it would have made a lot more sense. And unless they have this like specific role, because I know I hate saying this as a 49ers fan, but I was a little disappointed when the Niners took Debo over A.J. Brown. And I don't feel like that's a crazy thought considering how good A.J. Brown's been. But it's clear that Kyle had a role in mind when he took Debo, and Debo's been a great player. Like, I enjoy watching him play. I wonder if the Giants have that kind of role in mind for Toney. Like, not the same, but they have a very specific role where they're charting out short area quickness and getting him the ball in space and just letting him work. But I just have such a hard time betting on guys that like have that twitch like that, because like the difference for me between him and a player like Waddle. Like, Waddle had so many more qualities to him. I thought he was a much more fluid route runner. I thought he had better hands. I thought he tracked the ball better. So I could justify taking somebody like Waddle earlier. But, like, with Toney, it was just like it reminded me a lot of Dante Hall, who was one of my favorite players to watch ever, but he's not a player I would ever pick in the first round. Like, it's just I don't know what they were doing with that pick, and honestly, it's Dave Gettleman, so it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they're gonna do here, right? Are they gonna put him in the slot? Where's Sterling Shepard gonna go? Is he gonna go on the outside? Okay, and what about Darius Slayton? Are you gonna put him? Are you gonna leave him off the field? Like, is Toney even gonna be on the field like for 50% of the snaps in year one? I don't think so, man. Like, they have these other guys that they want on the field, so I really can't justify this pick at all, especially with these other guys on the. Like, if you drafted if you drafted Elijah, or if you drafted Bateman, those guys are on the field over Darius Slayton, no matter what, in year one. And then you can make an argument over Sterling Shepard, in year two potentially. You know what I'm saying? So, like, it was a big head-scratching move. He's not in the same realm as these guys, in my opinion. And you mentioned, like, dude, you mentioned Waddle. Like, he's not even anywhere close to that guy, man. Like, Waddle is just on a different level, man. Unfortunately, like, so many injuries when it came to him. But when he was on the field, like, he did his thing, dude. And, like, in the NFL, he's on that level where, like, can he be the next, I hate saying the next Tyreek Hill, whatever the case may be, but, he's, like, on that level.
So let's take some questions. Let's take some questions real quick. So Kevin Jeter, am I on the side that Trey should sit?
Kevin, this is a very sensitive topic.
Yeah. So no, here we go. So Kevin Jeter, Jason, are you still on the side that Trey should sit a year? I think that he should start. You gotta kind of end this because the Wi-Fi is bad. I don't know if you guys can hear me, but yeah, okay. So, are you still on the Trey should sit a year? I don't think so. I think you got to rip the Band-Aid off, and you got to get Jimmy Garoppolo into another spot and let Trey go for it. I mean, the only way to get a guy who everybody complains about reps with or for is to get him reps. So, and here's the issue, and I've been talking about this. If you go into camp and Trey Lance outperforms Jimmy Garoppolo,
All right, so what do you think, man? You're a 49ers fan. Do you think that Trey should sit while Jason joins back? I think he's joining back now. Jason, you good, bro? You straight? All right, I think.
Yeah, I'm good. I think yes. So, I mean, honestly, real quick, I'll just say that I think Trey, you start him now. You get him the reps, and the problem is he beats out Jimmy Garoppolo in camp. Now you've got a $27 million backup. And I don't know if that secures his value or makes it worse, and you just don't want to play that game, honestly, at this point. I'll let you guys answer this one. Who do you got? Tamari and Terry, Dynami Brown, or maybe even Tyson Campbell to Georgia? Let's go Niners. Keep bringing that gold. Jordan, you go first.
Well, I am a Dyami Brown truther, and I have been big on him for a lot of the draft process, so I am 100% with him. I think he fits exactly what the Niners are lacking. And they have a quarterback now that on tape has proven he can hit a lot of those deep balls and those intermediate outside the numbers, throwing far hash. A lot of those things I think Dyami Brown can do. He's so fluid, and he just, like Chris Sims said it really well when he was doing his breakdown on him. It was really hard to find a corner that was able to keep up with them when they were going head to head. I really like Dyami Brown. I think that while he may not be like an alpha wide receiver one, ultimately, like he could be, I'm not betting on it. Like, I think Terrace Marshall has more of a traditional frame to be that alpha X wide receiver, but Dyami Brown would fit what they have now. And, like, get my guy Lance some weapons, dude. Like, get Trey somebody that can take the top off of defense. I think Ayuk could do it. And Devo's a lot quicker than people give him credit for, too. But add to the pile, add to the stockpile. Keep loading up on tough, gritty skill position guys that can run routes, that are smart, that know how to work a zone defense. Like, Dyami Brown just checks all the boxes for me. Tamorrion Terry's more, I'm not really too big. I know a lot of people like him for his size. I wasn't really too blown away by anything he did, truthfully. If they do opt to go corner, Tyson Campbell would be a nice pick, in my opinion, too. I was surprised that Stokes went ahead of him, honestly. But if it's of the three, it's Dyami Brown for me, and it's really not close.
Yeah, we can hear you. Go for it.
So, dude, you nailed it, bro. Like, I'm a Dyami Brown fan too, man. Like, he's one of those guys. I just texted my cousin, who's a Jets fan, this morning that if the Jets don't get Elijah Moore right now, I don't want any other wide receiver. And if we do get another wide receiver later on in the draft, I think there's a huge tier jump after Elijah. So I just feel like, you know what? Let's take a shot at the upside with Dynamic. I call him Dynamic because dynamic. All right, never mind. But Dynamic is my dude. Like contested catches, his frame, and you know what? Like North Carolina, like wasn't that type of offense where you're just like, okay, they're gonna put up these ridiculous numbers, but like his running is not bad at all, and he can separate. And I just feel like he's gonna be interesting, man. Like he's one of those guys later on where you're just like, okay, like can this guy win on the outside? And it seems like he can. So I'm super interested in him. And was this a specific question for the 49ers? If the 49ers should add him? It was, right? So like, yeah, like I can totally see that happening because like, do they have that type of player on the outside right now? They really don't. You know what I'm saying? So like, I feel like he would complement the guys that they have right now really well. So it could be huge. It could be huge for them, man. You give Trey Lance somebody, a big guy to target. Someone in the end zone who he can target. I think that would be a good move. But I'd rather have my Jets have him. I'm trying to be selfish here, but I want my Jets to take.
So, because the Wi-Fi is, not working well here, and we're trying to get this done. So we're going to, cut over here. But, I'll get you quick. Faraz, his Jets take second in the second round. Jordan, who do you want to see taken with the 43rd pick by the 49ers? And then I'll go to Faraz and what he wants for the Jets.
Honestly, just best player available, and I know that's like kind of a cop-out answer, but there's literally so many good players left on the board that there are like 16 to 17 guys that I like, and they're waiting 11 slots to pick. So ultimately, like one of those guys would have to be there. If Trayvon Marrig falls there, I would take him, knowing that you have the majority of your secondary on one-year deals. If Elijah Molden's there, I would take him, knowing K1's getting up there in age and is again on a one-year deal. If Ronnie Perkins is there, the edge player, I really like him. I think he'd be good opposite Bosa. I know we were all a little devastated when Joe Tryon got taken. I love Ojulari. That's been my guy for most of the process, but he has some medical red flags that causes. I think he would have been a surefire first-round pick if it wasn't for those. So I'm interested to see how that goes. We already know they have an edge, that's a prominent edge player that's dealing with injury issues. So I'd be wondering if they'd be hesitant to take another, as much as I like Aziz. And then offensively, anybody who knows me, I am a wait as long as possible to take running backs. You don't need to take them early. But if Javonte Williams out of North Carolina is still there at 43, I would sprint to the podium with the card, because being able to watch him and Kyle's offense, that's another guy, and especially from a fantasy point of view, he would be a surefire top 5 pick in fantasy this year in Dynasty, in my opinion. He is just a dynamic player. I've comped him to sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, you got it, Jordan. We're just having issues right now with the Wi-Fi over here. They gave us
Yeah, Jordan, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say. So I compared him to, when I saw him, he looked like a mix of Nick Chubb and Aaron Jones to me, and that kind of back in Shanahan's scheme where he could be a bell cow kind of power guy, but still has the agility to hit those holes in the outside zone. I think very quickly he would take over, and then ultimately next year you have a lot of flexibility where the 49ers, if I recall correctly, don't have a running back signed next season or under contract through next season. So Javonte would be there, and then obviously Diami, Rondale Moore, Elijah Moore, any of those receivers. Like there's so many guys. I could sit here for 15 minutes and talk about all the guys I want there. I just worry that there's going to be all these guys left on the board that I really like, and they're going to ultimately take somebody that, I have 70, 80, somewhere way down the board that I don't expect. But
no, I hear you, bro. I'm a big fan of Javonte. Like, he was like number 1 in yards after contact per attempt this past year. He was near the top of he was also number 1 in forced missed tackles this year as well. And he did it multiple ways, right? He did it by just trucking people. He did it with his feet. He made guys miss as well. What I really liked about him is that his movement behind the line. He found the right hole. Obviously, he only had like 150 carries this year. I think him and Michael Carter both had the same exact number of carries and posted the same number of targets. But Javonte was handling so much more of that short down work that like the numbers were so similar, but really dive deep in. Javonte's was really more impressive because of how many short yard situations he had to go with, he had to deal with. So he's a very impressive back, and if he, like I've been saying this all morning, if this dude lands with the 49ers, we're going to have a conversation about who the fantasy RB1 is as far as rookies go between him and Najee. And Najee had a really, really great landing spot. The offensive line is trash. Yeah. Offensive line is trash. But at the same time, and the 49ers obviously have an amazing line, amazing scheme. Steelers offensive line coach, not there anymore. A few things play into that, but I love the opportunity that he's going to get. But Javonte just might have it all like kind of combined into one. Will there be some sort of timeshare? Right? Will Mostert still see some of that work potentially? Right? Maybe it'll still be some of that. But if we could see some sort of like Devontae Freeman, Tevin Coleman type of action that we saw several years ago in Atlanta, that's the kind of stuff that I'm hoping for. And Devontae's a much bigger back than Devontae Freeman was, right? Devontae Freeman defied the odds at his size, right? It was not, it obviously didn't last. But I would love for Javonte Williams to land at the 49ers. That would be my preferred landing spot for him, like, period.
He's my running back one, too. Oh, sorry. My bad, Jason. Go ahead.
I was gonna troll Jordan and just say Javonte Williams. That's what I want. I know that he doesn't. I know that he hates the running back thing, but that's what I really wanted. Honestly, go for it.
I have tweets going back to the college season. Yeah, I have him as RB1 ahead of Najee and ahead of ETN. Yeah, I have him and in real life, not just fantasy. Like real life, I had him as running back one going into the draft.
All right, as you can see, Wi-Fi, McDonald's Wi-Fi is in full effect right now. So we're probably gonna call it right here. Jordan, thank you. Faraz, thank you for joining. We'll be back right after the draft is over. We'll set up a stream with some real Wi-Fi and we'll get some reactions and everything. Thank you guys who tuned in. Thank you guys for donating. Thank you Faraz and Jordan for cutting out time for me. And enjoy the draft, guys. It's an hour and 15 minutes away, and this is a fun time right now.
No, man, it was good meeting you, brother.
Yeah, you too, dude. Hey, hope you guys have a good time. And hopefully the Jets and Niners don't bung either of the picks. They hit them right.
Well,
get some players we like.
Here it is, Jordan. The Jets let the 49ers trade up to their spot to draft Javonte Williams. Boom.
I'd be all right with it. I don't know. I gotta see Rondale or Elijah go to the Jets though. Give me one of the Moors on the Jets. Give Zach Wilson some weapons. Give Mike LaFleur somebody that could be his own Debo. I would love Rondale to the Jets, honestly. I'm a huge Rondale Moore guy, dude. So I don't know how you feel. You have way more vested interest in it than me, but I think he'd be dynamic over there.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I mean, I think Rondale in the right spot can do his thing for sure. But hey, to whoever's listening, I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate you, Jason, for having me on too.
Yeah, and make sure that you follow Faraz on IG. That's the platform that he's like killing it on. He's on Twitter as well. And follow Splash Cousin, and me on Twitter as well too. But we'll talk with you guys in a bit. Thank you guys for tuning in for this quick thing, and enjoy the rest of the draft, man. It's a fun time.